Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3. No, this is not the 3 count with SP3. I'm back with another ranking, another countdown for your enjoyment. I'm going to be giving you a whole bunch of countdowns and rankings for WrestleMania season. These are all WrestleMania themed countdowns that I'm going to be giving you. This is my final one from Tru Heel Studios, but I'm going to give you more from my home studio in the Uptown area. So this is the final one I'm going to give you from Tru Heel Studios, and we're going to be talking about the top 10 WrestleMania build-ups of all time. The build-up to the big show WrestleMania, whether it was a main event, whether it was a mid-card rivalry, upper mid-card rivalry, we have brother rivalries, we have jealousy rivalries, we have heartbreaking, we have a whole bunch of stuff. We've seen rivalries such as a bet for a Canadian dollar for someone to sleep with Trish Stratus. We've had WrestleMania build-ups that have involved stalkerish fans. We've had WrestleMania build-ups that had to do with the other guy telling the other guy that he can't wrestle and that he's a better wrestler than him. We've had a whole bunch of build-ups and lead-ups to WrestleMania, the big show, out of the 36 events that they have. Yes, I'm going to be including any WrestleMania build-ups from this year as well. My honorable mention is actually a WrestleMania build-up from this year. Yes, I am making one of my honorable mentions, Edge versus Randy Orton. What a build-up they've had ever since the Edge returned at the Royal Rumble to 2020. It was the next night that Randy Orton had a great promo exchange with Edge after Edge cut an amazing comeback promo. Randy Orton cut a great promo himself, had a great attack on Edge, laying him out with the concerto. We had a couple of weeks where he was taking out Edge's former rival, Matt Hardy. We had the great scene with him and Beth Phoenix where he laid her out with the RKO. We had Edge's return, Edge's great promo last week on Monday Night Raw, Randy Orton's all-time great promo this week on Monday Night Raw. So this build-up deserves an honorable mention. I'm going to mention another Randy Orton feud in my honorable mentions, Triple H versus Randy Orton from WrestleMania 25. Mind you, yes, no. The match itself does not deserve to be on this list, but the build-up was insanity. It all started off with Randy Orton punting Vince McMahon in the head, which led him into giving an RKO and laying out both Shane and Stephanie McMahon, which brought in Triple H, who was the WWE champion at the time, looking for revenge. Triple H showed up at Randy Orton's house and did a home invasion. We had Randy Orton then laying out Stephanie McMahon right in front of a handcuffed Triple H and giving her a kiss. It was quite the build-up, an amazing build-up right there. But those two did not make our top 10. But these build-ups did. We're going to start off with number 10 from WrestleMania 22. And yes, I'm going to give a title for all these stories, all these lead-ups. We have from WrestleMania 22, the build-up for Trish versus Mickie James. As I like to call it, obsessed fandom. This had everything to do with Mickie James and her obsession with Trish Stratus. Mickie James was introduced as a character at the end of 2005. It was at the end of 2005, Mickie James introduced herself as a huge fan, the biggest fan of Trish Stratus. Trish at the time was very good friends with Diva Search winner Ashley Mazzaro. As the months and weeks went by, Mickey's obsession with her became stranger and stranger. Halloween, she dressed up as Mickie James, full gear, hair, and a fake belt and all. Mickie James then gave a kiss under the mistletoe to Trish, which led Trish to kind of say that she wanted Mickie to back off, which made Mickie go off the deep end. She attacked one of Trish's good friends, Ashley Mazzaro. She attacked Trish's boyfriend at the time and tried to tie him up to a chair. Yes, whole bunch of other things. Then finally, it was at Saturday night's main event before WrestleMania 22. Mickie James finally betrayed and turned heel on Trish Stratus. The matchup at WrestleMania was one of the better female matches in WrestleMania history. So yes, the obsessed fandom of Trish versus Mickie from WrestleMania 22 is our number 10. Coming in at number 9, we have what I like to call the B+ players New Day from WrestleMania 35. Yes, it is the build-up for Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship. This is a build-up that came literally out of nowhere. This was supposed to be Kevin Owens versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship. At the Elimination Chamber, it was supposed to be Mustafa Ali, who was one of the final two participants with Daniel Bryan, which would lead into Mustafa Ali getting a title shot at the WWE Championship at Fastlane right before WrestleMania, which would then lead us to WrestleMania, where Kevin Owens would verse Daniel Bryan. All of that changed when Randy Orton took out Mustafa Ali a week before the Elimination Chamber. He was replaced by any member of the New Day that they chose, and the New Day chose Kofi Kingston, a man that had been in the WWE for over 11 years and had never received a one-on-one WWE Championship matchup. Kofi Kingston had the breakout performance in the gauntlet to determine the last participant in the Elimination Chamber on the SmackDown before the Elimination Chamber, and then had an even bigger performance at the Elimination Chamber, being the star of the matchup and being finally eliminated by Daniel Bryan in the end. We had long gauntlets matches, whether it was Kofi going through a gauntlet of all the heels on SmackDown, or then the New Day, Xavier Woods and Big E, who finally won the title shot for Kofi Kingston to verse Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 35. But Daniel Bryan's role in this is very underestimated and underrated. He was the guy who was the B-plus player who was kept down for a whole year by the Authority before he finally rose above it and won the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 30. So for him to be the heel in this situation and looking at Kofi Kingston and calling him a B-plus player was poetic justice. It was everything has gone full circle. Bryan in his full angry hippie mode with his sustainable WWE Championship, and then you had the New Day with all their merchandise and all their consumerism. It was a perfect rivalry for WrestleMania 35. It was the highlight and the best match at WrestleMania 35, but the build-up deserves a lot of credit because it came out of nowhere and it was not planned by the WWE ahead of time, so they definitely deserve credit for it. So that is our number 9. Coming in at number 8, we have what I like to call the Jealous Brother. From WrestleMania 10, it is the build-up for Bret the Hitman Hart versus Owen Hart. Brother versus brother. This all started at the Survivor Series 1993 as the Hart family was supposed to verse Jerry the King Lawler and the King's Court. They instead versed, I think it was Shawn Michaels and the Knights, or the King's Court, I don't know. Knights, whatever he was, whatever Jerry King Lawler's partners were, but he was replaced by Shawn Michaels. Out of everyone from the Hart family, the only member of the Hart family that was eliminated was Owen Hart, as he ran into Bret the Hitman Hart on the apron and was rolled up by Shawn Michaels. After the match, Owen Hart showed a lot of frustration being the only member who was eliminated. He then challenged Bret Hart to a one-on-one matchup, being angry with his brother for costing him that win at the Survivor Series. Over the holidays, the family came together seemingly. The brothers were united and they basically reunited to go for the WWF Tag Team Championships at the Royal Rumble 1994. But Bret Hart, with an injured knee against the Quebecers, refused to tag in his little brother, wanted to try to do it on his own, and in the end, he failed and he lost. And after the match, Owen, very frustrated with his brother, kicked his leg from under his leg. Yes, listen to Owen Hart's great promo from Royal Rumble 1994, which led us to the big match at WrestleMania 10. And what a classic match it is. I watched this the other day. It still lives up, and still, it was way ahead of its time. The technical wrestling still stands up for my 2020 eyes all the way back from 1994, 26 years later, and I still think it's a 5-star classic. It's an epic encounter, but we are more talking about the build-up, everything involving Owen. Owen playing the jealous brother really broke him out and made him a main event star, and then the win at WrestleMania solidified that, so this build-up definitely deserves the honor of being our number 8. Coming in at number 7 is one I like to call The Animal Evolves. It's from WrestleMania 21, and yes, it is Batista versus Triple H, the story of the end of Evolution. The Batista versus Triple H from WrestleMania 21 for the World Heavyweight Championship. This one all started when Evolution was put together all the way back in 2003. It was the Triple H with the veteran, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, the Legend Killer Randy Orton, and the Animal Batista. And in the summer of 2004, it was Triple H and Evolution that turned their back on Randy Orton after Randy Orton won the World Heavyweight Championship. Triple H feeling that he is the only member of Evolution who deserves and should be the World Heavyweight Champion. And due to outside interference from Evolution the following month after SummerSlam, where Randy Orton became the youngest heavyweight champion, Triple H takes the title from his old protege. Over the next couple of months, Randy Orton chased it, but simmering underneath, it was the Animal Batista, who was getting more and more cheers, who was getting more and more big victories, and getting more and more stronger. And every time it seemed that Triple H was more distracted with Randy Orton, Batista would drop these little bombs like, maybe I should deserve a shot at the title. And then it was finally at New Year's Revolution where Triple H regained the World Heavyweight Championship after losing it in the Elimination Chamber. Batista was also in the Elimination Chamber. He was given the RKO for Randy Orton, and Triple H did not even try to break up the pin. And then it was Batista who helped Triple H regain the title by attacking Randy Orton and laying him out. So Triple H got the victory. After the match, both men had the World Heavyweight title between them, and Batista was raising Triple H's hand and could not get his eyes off the World Heavyweight Championship. A couple of weeks later, it was Batista who won the Royal Rumble, last eliminating John Cena, and it seemed that everything was perfectly aligning for Batista versus Triple H, but Triple H wanted Batista to go for the WWE Championship of JBL. He even said that Batista had to go for the championship of JBL after JBL almost ran down Batista with his famous limo with the bullhorns in the front. Batista seemed angry, seemed that he wanted JBL, and it came to this final decision on Monday Night Raw. But in the backstage area, Batista overheard Triple H telling Ric Flair that it was so hard to find a white limo to put JBL's license plate and those bullhorns in front of. And yes, I fooled the animal, and he's going to choose the WWE Championship because he doesn't want to get a piece of the game. And then the famous scene at the contract signing where Triple H and Ric Flair are giving him the thumbs up. Batista gives him the thumbs up, and then the thumbs down. He attacks Ric Flair. He Batista bombs Triple H through the announce table, and our main event for WrestleMania 21 is made. A whole 2-year storyline evolving before your eyes as Batista versus Triple H. The Animal Evolves is our number 7 in our top 10 WrestleMania build-ups. Coming in at number 6, and I know a lot of people might get upset with me for having it this low, but we're going to go with the sibling rivalry burns from WrestleMania 14. It is the build-up for Undertaker versus Kane. This one started out all the way back in, I think it was May of 1997, when Paul Bearer first mentioned that the Undertaker had a little brother by the name of Kane, and that one day at their cemetery where they lived with their parents, the Undertaker caused a fire which killed his parents and burned his brother alive. Later, it was revealed that Paul Bearer revealed to The Undertaker after The Undertaker tried to attack him that Kane was alive! Kane is alive, dead man! Kane is alive! Yes. That was the first seeds that the Big Red Machine would come. The Undertaker got distracted being the WWF champion with rivalries with Vader, rivalries with Bret the Hitman Hart. His one of the best rivalries of 1997, him versus Shawn Michaels after Shawn Michaels cost him the WWF championship against Bret Hart. But it was at Bad Blood 1997 in the Hell in a Cell match, the blow-off between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, that Kane made his long-anticipated debut, probably the greatest debut in WWE WWF history. As Paul Bearer led him to the ring, Kane ripped the door off the hinges of the Hell in a Cell, stepped in, went face-to-face, and was actually taller than his brother, The Undertaker. He let the fire go off, And then he tombstoned The Undertaker, costing him the Hell in a Cell match and helping Shawn Michaels win the first ever Hell in a Cell. Over the next couple of months, The Undertaker refused to fight his little brother Kane. Every time Kane would attack The Undertaker would not fight back. And then finally, as we build up to the Royal Rumble, where The Undertaker got a shot at the WWF Championship in a casket match against Shawn Michaels had a whole bunch of heels as well as DX attack The Undertaker, and it was none other than Kane that helped save his brother. The brother seemingly reunited for a common cause. The Kane would not allow anyone to beat up his brother. Only I can beat up my brother, but they came together. But that was all a red herring to fool The Undertaker, fool him into a false sense of security, as Kane cost The Undertaker that casket match against Shawn Michaels at the Royal Rumble, and then locked his older brother into the casket, set it on fire, and let The Undertaker burn as he did. Couple of weeks later, I think it was over a month later, The Undertaker made his triumphant return in a very famous Monday Night Raw scene where he's talking in like biblical terms and he sounds like he's in a Shakespeare play, and I will fling down the depths of hell on my brother. I will fight my brother at WrestleMania. One of the most famous scenes from the Attitude Era. It's just all the dramatics in that we expect. And this is like, it tells a story like a Shakespearean play. Like, you have the brother who killed his parents, who burned his brother alive. The brother comes back for vengeance. We had Paul Bearer saying that he had an affair with the Undertaker's mom. Like, so many twists and turns in the story. But The Undertaker made the challenge for WrestleMania, and the match was made. Kane versus The Undertaker. This is one of the most thrilling twist and turn stories that leads up to a big time WrestleMania match, so well deserving of our number 6 choice. Coming in at number 5, this one is going to get a lot of older school fans upset, coming in at number 5, but in the top 5 nonetheless is the Irresistible Force versus the Unmovable Object. It is the build-up for WrestleMania 3, Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. The biggest matchup in probably WrestleMania history, the biggest matchup in WWE at the time. This one was built up. It first was introduced to us by a Piper's Pit, a special Piper's Pit that happened in January of 1987, where Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant were the guests of Roddy Piper. Andre the Giant received a trophy for being undefeated for 15 years. I'm going to debate that. I'll debate that on another video. Don't worry, I will. And then Hulk Hogan being WWF champion for 3 years. Andre's trophy was much smaller than the Hulkster's trophy. Hulkster had a big old trophy, and you could sense that Andre felt a little disrespected by this. A couple of weeks later, it was another Piper's Pit with Hulk Hogan on it, and none other than Bobby the Brain Heenan with Andre the Giant interrupted him and announced that Bobby the Brain Heenan was the new manager for Andre the Giant. Andre the Giant then challenged Hulk Hogan to a one-on-one matchup for WrestleMania 3 for the WWF Championship. Hulk Hogan initially refused, saying that Andre was one of his good friends. Hogan and Andre had established a long-term friendship and relationship over Hogan's first couple of years as WWF champion, but Andre would not take no for an answer, famously ripping off the Hulkster shirt as well as his cross, the cross around his neck, basically scraping him with the cross and cutting his chest. So you had blood down Hulkster's chest. Roddy Piper pleaded with Hogan, like, will you accept the challenge of Andre the Giant? And Hulk Hogan famously said, I will! Yes, gotta love the 1980s WWF. And yes, Hogan versus Andre was officially made. It was one of the biggest matchups in professional wrestling history. 93,000 plus packed the Pontiac Silverdome, not the Superdome, Hulk, to see Andre the Giant go one-on-one with Hulk Hogan. So this is well deserving of being in our top 5 matches, our top 5 WrestleMania build-ups of all time. Won't be in my top 5 WrestleMania matches of all time. I'm just warning you on that one. But it's in my top 5 build-ups to a WrestleMania match ever. Coming in at number 4, this is going to get my good friend Romeo Colon upset probably. Coming in at number 4 is what I like to call the name of the match, what the match was stipulated to be, career versus streak. The build-up to Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker for WrestleMania 26. It was at 1 year prior, WrestleMania 25, that the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker put on one of the greatest matchups in WrestleMania history, a 5-star classic at WrestleMania 25 that really stole the show. But Shawn Michaels came this close from ending The Undertaker's streak. It was at the end of the year in 2009 at the Slammies that The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels won the match of the year. Shawn Michaels accepted the award. He looked like he was thanking the fans and wanted to walk away, but instead he walked back to the podium and says that, "Dead man, I came this close from beating you at WrestleMania. I want another opportunity. I want one more shot at the Dead Man." The Dead Man refused the Shawn Michaels' challenge. He said that, "I've already beaten you at WrestleMania. I don't need to verse you again." So Shawn Michaels vowed to win the Royal Rumble. Since The Undertaker was the World Heavyweight Champion, he was going to win the Royal Rumble and challenge The Undertaker for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 26. Shawn Michaels had one of the greatest performances, single-person performances in Royal Rumble history at the Royal Rumble 2010. He was eliminated by Batista in one of the best eliminations, the desperation. Michaels trying to grab onto the rope so he wouldn't fall, but he falls down. He loses the opportunity to versus The Undertaker, and he snaps. He takes out everybody else in the match that was still in the Royal Rumble match. He takes out a referee, and then he comes to the realization, "Oh my God, I can't believe what I've done." From there, him and the Triple H were the WWE Raw Tag Team Champions, or WWE Undisputed Tag Team Champions at the time. I forgot they united the titles, and they lost those to Miz and Big Show due to Shawn Michaels being so obsessed and distracted by The Undertaker. Shawn Michaels then went to the Elimination Chamber 2010 as The Undertaker seemed to be about to win the entire SmackDown Elimination Chamber with Chris Jericho as his last person to eliminate. It was Shawn Michaels who came from underneath the Elimination Chamber, and probably one of the greatest finishes in Elimination Chamber history, and sweet chin music, The Undertaker laying him out, allowing his arch rival, the man that punched his wife in the face, Chris Jericho, beat The Undertaker. His need and desire to beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania was greater than a man that punched his wife in the face, and this led The Undertaker to accept his challenge for WrestleMania on one condition: that HBK had to put up his illustrious career against The Undertaker's streak at WrestleMania 26. So many twists, so many turns, a whole year-long build pretty much for this one. It's well deserving of our number 4 spot. Coming in at number 3, I like these ones that kind of you could see that the plan was put out ahead of time, but I also like the WrestleMania build-ups like Kofi versus Bryan that come out of nowhere. And if there's any build-up that came out of nowhere that was not planned from the beginning, it's this one. Number 3 is from WrestleMania 30, entitled "The Miracle on Bourbon Street," as Daniel Bryan versus The Authority. I put Daniel Bryan versus The Authority because it was all about The Authority versus Daniel Bryan. It started at SummerSlam 2013 as Daniel Bryan was challenging John Cena for the WWE Championship. Before SummerSlam, it was Vince McMahon who came out and said that Daniel Bryan doesn't belong in the main event of SummerSlam. He doesn't belong in the WWE Championship match. Daniel Bryan is a great utility player. He's a B+ player. From there, Daniel Bryan defeated John Cena at SummerSlam 2013, and we found out that Triple H was under the same thinking as his father-in-law, as he pedigreed Daniel Bryan after the match and allowed the Money in the Bank winner Randy Orton to cash in and win the WWE Championship. From there, we had months and months of The Authority screwing Daniel Bryan out of the championship. He would win it, and then they would take it back and relinquish the title from him. He would get punched out by the Big Show, and the Big Show would cost him championship matches. Kane, the Stooge, it didn't matter. Like, it was the new generation of Austin versus McMahon, except this time it was with Bryan and Triple H. Finally, it was Shawn Michaels who cost Daniel Bryan the Hell in a Cell, as Randy Orton defeated him in Hell in a Cell, and it seemed that the story had ended for Daniel Bryan getting another opportunity at the WWE Championship. Then, as we all know, at Royal Rumble 2014, Daniel Bryan wasn't in the Royal Rumble. Instead, they had Batista return in the Royal Rumble and win the Royal Rumble match, and it seemed that we were getting Batista versus Randy Orton. But at the same time, CM Punk left the company, and from out of nowhere, the WWE did something that we always say they don't do. They gave us what we want. And we started the build-up as it was Daniel Bryan took over Monday Night Raw one week as a whole bunch of fans in yes shirts took over Monday Night Raw, occupied Monday Night Raw as they took over the ring and told the Authority they would not leave until they made the match of Daniel Bryan versus Triple H for WrestleMania. And if Daniel Bryan won, he would get a shot at the WWE Championship under very tough conditions. Triple H and Stephanie agreed, and we had Daniel Bryan versus Triple H at WrestleMania. Daniel Bryan defeated Triple H in the first match at WrestleMania 30, and then went on to defeat Randy Orton and Batista to become the WWE Champion. This rivalry was not supposed to be how it was. It was the rejection of the WWE Universe of Batista as the number one contender, as well as CM Punk leaving the company. Those two things combined together led to Daniel Bryan making history and and amazingly defeating three members of Evolution to become the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And if you haven't seen it, you should go out your way to see WrestleMania 30. It was on ESPN this past Sunday, so go out your way to watch it again. If you have a WWE Network subscription, there's no reason not to watch it. It's one of the best WrestleManias ever, with one of the best endings ever. Coming in at number 2 is another one that came out of nowhere. This was not what the WWE thought the main event of WrestleMania 14 would be after WrestleMania 13, but that's how things change. The Attitude Torch is passed from WrestleMania 14. It's the build-up to Austin versus Michaels. The whole WWE, WWF universe had changed at Survivor Series 1997. It was Shawn Michaels versus Bret the Hitman Hart for the WWF Championship, and Bret Hart was on his way out, going to WCW out of the company. And from out of nowhere, even though he had creative control, even though he had, he thought the finish was going to be going one way, we had the infamous incident of the Montreal Screwjob, which completely changed the WWF as well as the professional wrestling world in total. It created the greatest heel character of all time, which was Mr. McMahon. As Mr. McMahon screwed Bret Hart in real life, he became a on-the-screen character as the evil boss. And from the evil boss, we had the Rebel, the anti-hero known as Stone Cold Steve Austin. 1 year prior at WrestleMania 13, he had the all-time classic against Bret the Hitman Hart, where he passed out and turned babyface in the process and became the hottest heel, the hottest babyface in the company and of this new era that was forming before our eyes. Shawn Michaels, like I said, won the WWF Championship at Survivor Series, and it seemed that all the stars were aligned for Michaels versus Austin, but one key component was missing. At Royal Rumble 1998, we had a very special interview from the Skybox in San Jose at the Royal Rumble, and it was none other than World Boxing Champion, the baddest man on the planet, Iron Mike Tyson. Iron Mike Tyson, the previous summer of 1997, had bit the ear off of Evander Holyfield and infamously was suspended from boxing and could not box for the foreseeable future. So he was looking for that payday, and that payday came from Vince McMahon and the WWF. It was announced the following night on Monday Night Raw that Mike Tyson would be involved in the main event of WrestleMania 14 as a special enforcer. On that night, the night after Royal Rumble 1998, we had the infamous incident when Austin went face-to-face with Iron Mike Tyson and flipped him off, and it caused a whole big pull-apart brawl between the two men and increased the anger, the ever-increasing anger that Mr. McMahon had towards Stone Cold Steve Austin. During the build-up, we had Mike Tyson and Shawn Michaels go face-to-face. It seemed that they were about to brawl, but instead, Michaels ripped off the shirt of Mike Tyson and revealed that Tyson was the newest member of D Generation X. For the next couple of weeks, it seemed that Mike Tyson was very in favor of Shawn Michaels. He even went out and said that there would be no match. Shawn Michaels would win. He would win, Heartbreak. You're going to beat him, Heartbreak. I'm the man, Heartbreak. I'll knock anybody out, Heartbreak. Yes, what a build-up. What it was great television. We had Austin feuding with Mr. McMahon at the time because Shawn Michaels couldn't be on TV with his bad back. Michaels had one more match in him, and he just had to make it to WrestleMania. And in that match, Austin defeated Shawn Michaels with Mike Tyson counting the 1, 2, 3. But this one deserves a lot of credit. It set pay-per-view records. It set records for business for WWF in Boston. And this is the build-up that created the Attitude Era, the most successful era in WWE history. Starts with this rivalry, so well deserving of our number 2 spot. And then finally, we have our number 1. There can only be one. And I love the rivalries that come out of nowhere. We've named Kofi versus Bryan. We have Bryan versus The Authority. We had Austin versus Michaels. But the only thing better than that is a story and a build-up that is planned out well in advance. And that is our number 1. The Mega Powers explode from WrestleMania 5. The Macho Man Randy Savage versus the Immortal Hulk Hogan. This one started right before WrestleMania 4. It was at the time that the WWE fans were seemingly starting to cheer Macho Man Randy Savage, who had been a long-time heel in the company for the last couple of years. They started to cheer him as he went up and feuded against the Honky Tonk Man. One night on Saturday night's main event, the Honky Tonk Man and the Hart Foundation were jumping the Macho Man Randy Savage until Miss Elizabeth got so distraught, she went in the back and got none other than Hulk Hogan to come out and make the save for Macho Man Randy Savage, and we had the famous handshake. The Mega Powers were born. The Mega Powers were born just before WrestleMania 4. At WrestleMania 4, Macho Man Randy Savage defeated 3 men before he versed $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase in the finals of the WWF Championship Tournament. It was Andre the Giant in $1 Million Man's corner, and he seemingly was kept beating down Macho Man when the referee was distracted and doing anything he can to help $1 Million Man defeat Macho Man. But it was Hulk Hogan who came in with a steel chair to the back of the $1 Million Man, which led to the Macho Man hitting the elbow and becoming the WWF champion for the first time. The Mega Powers then moved on, and at SummerSlam of 1988, they teamed up to verse Andre the Giant and the $1 Million Man. This was the first crack in their relationship, as Miss Elizabeth was the secret weapon. She removed her skirt, which distracted $1 Million Man, Andre the Giant, as well as special guest referee Jesse the Body Ventura. After the match, which the Mega Powers won, they celebrated in the ring, but Hulk Hogan got a little bit too excited. He hugged up and twirled around Elizabeth, which upset the Macho Man. He had this look of confusion, of a little bit of anger. Even at the moment, Hogan put Elizabeth on Macho Man's shoulder and even touched her backside. Then it was at the Royal Rumble of 1989. Macho Man was about to eliminate Bad News Brown, and Hulk Hogan came from behind and eliminated both men. This caused a pushing battle between both men, which Elizabeth got in the way to kind of cooler heads prevail. And then a couple of weeks later at Saturday night's main event, it was the Twin Towers going up against Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man Randy Savage. During the match, the Macho Man was thrown to the outside onto Elizabeth, which caused Elizabeth to be down and out. Hulk Hogan, concerned for Miss Elizabeth, took her to the back, carried her to the back as her hero, said the Macho Man's got it. He came back out, and they ended up losing that matchup. After the match, as they're in the back with the Elizabeth who's hurt, Macho Man says, "I see lust in your eyes. I see the lust in your eyes." Over the last couple of months and weeks, Hulk Hogan had said that Elizabeth was his manager, was his girl. He said that he loved Elizabeth like a sister. It's getting very weird. There was a lot of tension between the two men because of this, and Macho Man struck Hulk Hogan in the head with the WWF Championship, which led us to WrestleMania 5, where both men finally went one-on-one. This is one of the biggest matchups and biggest build-ups that WWF has ever done, and this is really like the highlight of the 80s for the WWF. The Mega Powers Explode is our number 1 choice for the greatest WrestleMania build-ups of all time. So post your comments down below and tell us what you think is the greatest WrestleMania build-up of all time. Do you agree with me? Was it the Mega Powers Explode, or maybe one of the other build-ups that I mentioned before? Push that like button, push the subscribe button to stay notified for all the great content right here on Tru Heel Heat. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3, signing off for this count. Alright, I'll put all 3 videos together. You can edit this part out too. So yes, that was our number 1 choice. Hogan versus Savage, the Mega Powers Explode, is our number 1 for the greatest WrestleMania build-ups of all time. Post your comments down below in the comments section and let us know what you think. Did you agree with me? Do you believe the Mega Powers Explode is the greatest WrestleMania build-up of all time? Or do you think it's Bryan versus The Authority, Austin versus Michaels, or maybe a build-up that I didn't even mention? Let us know in the comments down below, but more importantly, push that like button and push the subscribe button to stay notified for all the great content right here on Tru Heel Heat. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3. This has been the top 10 greatest WrestleMania build-ups of all time, and I am signing off until next time.